Good afternoon, everybody. This is Paul Ura at the Austin San Antonio National Weather Service office located in New Braunfels, Texas. Shortly, we're going to begin our 2 p.m. Friday winter weather webinar. I know this is kind of late in the day for folks, but unfortunately, we needed as much data as possible to kind of look everything over. So I will start off by saying that this is being recorded, as well as after we're done, it'll take some time to process, but I'm going to send the recording out to everybody, as well as the slides as like a PDF slide set. So that will be kind of coming forth to everybody soon after. So also, toward the end of the presentation, if you would like to ask a question, please utilize the chat feature of the GoToWebinar. Type in your question and I'll try to get to as many questions as possible. Basically, I'll stay until the very end until I've answered all the questions, is how it's going to work. We are going to be doing this next briefing tomorrow at the same time, tomorrow on Saturday. The important updates for this go around, the Arctic front is planned on arriving sooner. The temperatures are still trending colder, believe it or not, and there are still some chances for some winter precipitation Sunday night into Monday morning. This map on the far right actually shows the reason why it was so windy last night and this morning, and even still today. Big storm system came through the plains last night. It is now going through the Midwest of the United States there, the upper Mississippi Valley and Great Lakes region. The Arctic air is actually stored up here still in the northern tier of the United States, but it will be plowing down this general direction here by late Saturday. So the main points to hit, continuing today, just very briefly, there's still some moderate to high fire danger because of the dry conditions out west, and particularly in all the gusty winds. The winds have really kind of settled a bit since early this morning, but we're still getting gusts at 30 miles per hour later this afternoon, and maybe even into the evening, but that will be kind of dying down rather quickly, okay? So let's now kind of shift our whole sort of talk into the Arctic front that's now going to be arriving on late Saturday for some folks, and basically early Sunday morning for the rest of South Central Texas. It will become much colder for the first part of this upcoming week, Sunday all the way through Wednesday. Hard freezes are likely Monday through Wednesday mornings, with the potential of 60+ hours of below freezing temperatures in some locations. Not everywhere. Typical cold spots for us. So hill country, the northern tier of our I-35 corridor, basically the further you go north, the longer you'll probably be in some freezing sort of temperatures. There continues to be a low chance of anywhere between 30 and 40% chance of some light freezing rain or drizzle across especially the north and northeast half of South Central Texas. I'll kind of show you a better map that kind of shows that. Mainly north of I-10 and east of 281, but again, evolving sort of forecasts. This may bring some travel impacts. And of course, there's going to be a really brisk north wind that produce very low wind chill indices Sunday all the way through Tuesday nights. So very quickly, again, the fire danger for the rest of today. Red flag warnings remain in effect for about another 2 hours or so out west. And a high fire danger remains for the rest of the, pretty much for much of the state, honestly, for the rest of today, moderate to high risk. So getting into the Arctic front, the front will actually arrive on Sunday night, 6 p.m. on Saturday. This is kind of where they're drawing in the front right across central Texas. I checked, and officially in our forecast, as of like 6 p.m. on Saturday, portions of like Williamson County and Burnett County may already be hitting a northerly wind. Okay, now by 6 a.m. Sunday, that Arctic front will have pushed primarily all the way to the middle Texas coast. So we're planning on that basically everybody by sunrise on Sunday should be basically in the Arctic air mass, or at least the beginnings of the Arctic air mass coming down. I'm going to quickly go over some of the temperature maps. This is the latest forecast information that's actually coming through. So Sunday morning low temperatures, you can see that already by Sunday morning. Again, the front will have already come through probably 12 hours earlier in Saturday evening. So by Sunday morning, we're expecting a lot of the area actually already below freezing, and including some teens up in the western portions of the hill country, Fredericksburg, Llano, Burnett, Even portions of like Georgetown may be actually in the upper teens by Sunday morning. Sunday high temperatures, don't look for much warm up above freezing across especially the northern half of south central Texas. Some of these temperatures are highs in the morning, and actually the temperatures may continually go down as the day progresses. As we get into Monday, again, morning low temperatures, hard freeze across pretty much all of south central Texas. Maybe just along the river, the Winter Garden area down here by Carrizo Springs, Crystal City, may not reach into the low to mid 20s, but pretty much everybody else by Monday morning is going to be well deep into a hard freeze. And then Monday afternoon warm up, again, there may be some areas, especially the northern half of south central Texas here, the hill country, anywhere north of San Antonio, may struggle to get above freezing. Tuesday, much of a repeat, colder temperatures at nighttime. We're now talking about some areas Tuesday morning may get into single digits out into the hill country. Rest of the area, much of south central Texas, will all be into the teens. Low teens further north, mid to upper teens further south, and maybe low 20s across the Winter Garden area down here. As far as high temperatures on Tuesday, again, struggling to maybe hit at freezing, but some areas, especially hill country, northern tier of the area, still staying below freezing or right at the freezing mark. Areas kind of south of San Antonio, mainly south of Interstate 10, probably getting above freezing on Tuesday. Wednesday, again, still Wednesday morning, still very cold, probably not as cold as Tuesday. The high pressure will actually be starting to shift a little bit east at this time, but still a lot of cold temperatures, teens primarily across almost all of south central Texas. So actually on Wednesday morning, portions of like Winter Garden area in our far southern zones may actually see the coldest temperatures actually on Wednesday morning. The good news is that by Wednesday afternoon, pretty much everybody should be in the 40s, and we think that everybody should be above freezing. Now, one of the big dangers that we're going to be having with this cold snap are the wind chills. I have two maps here. This is basically the coldest wind chills we have in a 24-hour period on Monday, and you can see that we have single-digit wind chill readings across much of the northern half of south central Texas for Monday. On Tuesday morning, we could have quite a bit of area, especially west of Interstate 35, north of Interstate 10, that are actually below zero wind chill readings Tuesday morning. So ISDs that are on the phone and listening to this webinar, right? These are some of the coldest wind chills we have seen in probably all the way since 2021. So maybe that may be impact and maybe some of your decision making as to what happens. Now, this could change. The winds could drop off maybe sooner than expected. So again, the importance of checking with this webinar and our forecast on a daily basis, sometimes twice or maybe 3 times a day from now until early next week to get the latest forecast. Obviously, when you're talking about these sort of wind chills, you're talking about risk of hypothermia and frostbite for any sort of exposure. So definitely dressing properly over the next into early next week is going to be a very good thing to be doing. Okay, so the question of the hour is ice. Several days ago, it didn't look like we were going to have much of an ice threat. That ice threat has slowly been increasing almost every model run. We're not talking about massive ice storms at this point, but the forecast is still evolving. What I have on the left-hand side here is a threat risk map showing where the elevated risk is of getting some sort of accumulating ice. We think primarily this risk time is going to be from Sunday night into the first part of Monday, or basically Monday morning. We are expecting now that there could be some travel impacts in this zone, okay? So this is literally like pretty much the eastern 2/3 of south central Texas. Now, what you don't see on this map, because we're still fine tuning how much ice we think we're going to get, if I would draw in an area, it would be primarily an area along Interstate 35, I-35, and northeast of the area would be our highest chances of getting some accumulating ice. And this is also where we have our actual highest chances of getting freezing rain right now, and in that 30 to 40% range. We are still thinking that we're going to have hundredths of an inches of buildup that could accumulate to as much as 1/10 of an inch. I think that's kind of our worst case scenario right now. But again, we're still several days out, and there are several model runs for all of that to kind of change. So, but from a planning perspective, I think we should be planning in this sort of region to have some sort of ice accumulation. We still think that the elevated bridges and surfaces will be the main threat here, but when it's this cold and you have any sort of ice falling, of course, even some roads and some secondary roads may be impacted as well. So I know there are some road precautions that are already being taken place. I kind of saw some back and forth with some TxDOT folks. I know they're going to be pre-treating some things. So this threat will continue. Now, as we get through the day on Monday, that threat area will be kind of shifting east and northeast of the area. So I do think some Sunday night to Monday morning is our primary threat time, where we would have some sort of frozen precipitation, primarily in the form of freezing drizzle, light freezing drizzle or rain. Can't rule out a little bit of sleet in there, but I think primarily freezing drizzle and rain are going to be our primary threat from freezing precipitation. Again, minor ice accumulations still on the books. I really want to highlight this website. We've been doing this very often on our webinars, weather.gov/forecast points. When you type in that, it will default actually to a location in Minnesota on the map. All you have to do is zoom in into Texas, click on a location, and you will get our forecast points database, hourly information for wherever you clicked on the map. This QR code that I put here, this is an already zoomed in map technically into New Braunfels. But again, wherever your jurisdiction is, zoom out or zoom in, click on the map, and you'll actually get all the data that's directly in our forecast points database in hourly increments out to 7 days. This is going to be really handy for you wherever your jurisdiction is. If you want to count up how many hours below freezing, this is a great way to do it. You'll be able to see hour by hour forecasts, wind chills, chances of rain, accumulation of how much precipitation we're expected to be accumulating, etc. They do have really nice graphs as well on the lower portion of the website, wherever you click, that actually where you can see how long you will be below freezing, or actually what the lowest wind chills will be. So again, great website to not only use during this event, but basically every day that you're trying to get what's the temperature going to be, what the wind forecast is going to be for your jurisdiction. So to wrap it up, again, the main points: the Arctic cold front is now going to be arriving earlier than expected, late Saturday night for the northern tier of South Central Texas, pushing all the way through South Central Texas and even the Winter Garden area already by early Sunday morning, basically sunrise. Dangerous wind chill values and hard freezes are going to be likely. What this means is that we will probably have to be issuing at least wind chill advisories, maybe even wind chill warnings, and we will probably go ahead and issue hard freeze warnings some point during this event. There continues to be that 30 to 40% chance of some freezing rain. Again, primarily the highest rain threat is going to be in the northern section, in the northeast section of South Central Texas, but this could lead to some light ice accumulation, and so travel impacts, I think at this point, is not off the table. And the really bad news is that there's even more Arctic air coming by the end of next week, probably coming as early as Thursday, by the latest on Friday. So we're not going to be done with this really cold air. So that, I believe, is kind of where I wanted to wrap it up. We do have a great preparedness sort of website within the National Weather Service. There's the website here. This QR code will actually take you right there. It's a great website to actually get graphics, winter weather graphics, to share on social media for your websites, for your partner emails, all of those places where you want to push out good information to the community, but then also within your employee section as well. The next briefing again will be tomorrow at 2 p.m. Again, all this is very time sensitive, so being up to date is going to be imperative for you as we go through this event. Then you can see some further contact information on the far right as well. So that's going to wrap up what I was going to be sharing. I'm going to be looking through the questions right now and kind of answering some, so stand by. Do you anticipate mostly cloudy conditions on Monday AM or sunny conditions? Great question. So on Monday, we'll primarily remain cloudy, and that's where we have our chances of freezing precipitation, or at least light chances of freezing precipitation on that day. As we get through the day on Monday, the later in the day, we expect some clearing from basically west to east across the region. So by Tuesday morning, we're going to be clearing out, and then primarily clear and sunny conditions most of the day on Tuesday all the way into Wednesday. So let's have a worst case scenario there, that if there is ice that does kind of drop and form on Monday morning, the wind speeds will actually help to kind of supplement and kind of get rid of some of that ice. And then also, yes, some sun maybe late in the day could actually help get rid of some of that ice too. So even if some ice does fall and accumulate, we don't think it's going to go all the way and last all the way into maybe Tuesday. So I think Monday, again, is going to be your main impact day or threat day if there is going to be any ice. But we are going to at least be getting into some sunshine there by at least Tuesday, which will kind of help the situation. Okay, stand by. Billy is wanting to. So on this map here, Billy wanted to show the ice accumulation risk map. Right, there's a whole lot of the area is going to be under a risk or a threat of some sort of ice accumulation. Again, primarily, if I would kind of draw in a different sort of line in here, I think primarily the I-35 corridor, the northeast section of I-35 will probably have our better chances, or even slightly higher accumulations out of, compared to, let's say, Uvalde or Pearsall or even Hondo. I think lesser totals down to the southwest, and the totals will technically probably increase as you head east and northeast of the region there. Let's see. Chances of ice accumulations for I-10 in Kerr County. Dub, I think they're there. I do think, again, as you head east on I-10, as you head east toward 281 and toward the I-35 corridor, I think your threat for ice accumulations will be higher. So I can't rule it out for out there, but I do think this isn't one of those events where I think the hill country will get more than the eastern area. And in fact, I think it's opposite. I think the hill country will probably see the least amount of ice accumulation out of all this, and then that will increase as you probably head east, if all this sort of ice accumulation does in fact happen. Are there any plans to issue any sort of winter storm watch over the next couple of days? We cannot rule it out. Typically, if our confidence will go up that we're going to be getting accumulating ice and widespread accumulating ice to where we think we're going to get fairly significant travel impacts, then I think we would probably issue something like that. I think we still have about, tomorrow, I think we're going to have to be making a more timely decision on which way we're going to do. Some of that will be our coordination with all of our neighboring offices as well. So because it's still, not a slam dunk for how much ice or where that ice will fall, it makes it a little bit hard this far out, but it's definitely on the table, Bob, for doing that. Typically, if we are getting just a little bit of ice, that would be a situation where we'd maybe issue a winter weather advisory for those counties that we expect impact from that. So yeah, there may be several products coming out, including the wind chill watches, or the wind chill advisories or warnings, and then also any sort of winter product like the winter weather advisory, or possibly even a winter storm watch. When is the Arctic front coming in again, and for how long? The Arctic front will be arriving in portions of Travis County, Williamson County, late Saturday evening into early Saturday night. So anything after 6 p.m. is probably fair game for Travis County, Austin, Georgetown area. But definitely by like midnight on Saturday, the front should already be kind of pushing through. And what is the modeling looking at so far with it? I'm assuming you maybe mean like the precipitation or the temperatures. Obviously, the temperatures will drop very, very quickly behind it. And then again, the initial front will push all the way through, and it will literally be about 12 hours later, 24 hours later, that the precipitation will probably actually kind of kick in as a small disturbance kind of rolls over across all of that cold Arctic air. So it won't be instantaneous. There won't be any precipitation right along the front. But we are expecting that precipitation, the light precipitation, to probably develop and increase nearly about 24 hours after the front is actually pushed through. Again, that mainly Sunday night into early Monday morning. Okay, Robin, I meant the next front. Yes, probably next Thursday is where some of the models are kind of drawing it in. So Wednesday, we may get a break. And then before that, then another Arctic air mass will likely come in. Too early to tell if it's going to get any colder than this one, or if there's going to be any precipitation chances, maybe even the next weekend or whatever. We'll try to handle this Arctic blast first, and then we'll have to deal with the next one. All right, any more questions coming in? Good questions, by the way. Again, okay, so for wrapping it up, the recording is going to be sent out. The slides will be sent out. Check that forecast frequently. I know a lot of folks, we don't see a lot of calls kind of scheduled over the weekends, right? Because everybody is off for the weekends, and of course, MLK Day on Monday too. So a lot of places will be closed, but please make sure you're checking the forecast because just like with any of our winter weather scenarios, things can change rapidly. So make sure you are checking the forecast multiple times per day. And please utilize that forecast points database website, this one right here. It'll be your best bet of getting those up-to-date forecast temperatures, winds, wind chills, chances of rain, all of that for your specific county, city, wherever you click on the cursor. That's the data that you're going to be getting from that website. So with that, I do not see any more questions. So thank you again for attending, and we will speak to everybody again tomorrow